Former Vice President Dick Cheney has encouraged Republicans to believe that President Obama and his administration don't talk about war and terrorism.
The Obama administration came in and said, we're not going to use the word terrorism anymore.
In the first several months of this administration, it was their policy not to use the word terrorism.
The concern that a lot of us have had over the last year is we've even dropped the word terror.
If you can't call a thing what it is, then there's a question about what do you think it is.
Can we trust the government to protect us from terrorism when they won't even acknowledge that we're in the war on terror?
Are they going to finally use the word terrorism?
Name one other specific recommendation the president could implement right now to fix this.
I think one main thing would be to just himself, to use the word terrorism more often.
Our nation is at war against a far-reaching network of violence and hatred. For those who seek to advance their aims by inducing terror and slaughtering innocents, we say to you now that our spirit is stronger and cannot be broken. You cannot outlast us, and we will defeat you.
Terrorists, terrorism, terrorists, counter-terrorism missions, terror, terrorism, terrorists, Al-Qaeda and other violent extremists, Al-Qaeda terrorists, terrorist, high-level terrorist targets, Al-Qaeda and their extremist allies, Al-Qaeda terrorists, and to the terrorists who oppose us, my message is the same. We will defeat you.
The city of London, like the United States, was attacked by the Al-Qaeda terrorists. Terrorism. We are very concerned about extremists and terrorists, counterterrorism. We can turn back terrorism. We reduced the risks and incidents of terrorism. We were attacked by an Al-Qaeda network that killed thousands on American soil, including French and Germans. The terrorists who struck in London and New York plotted in distant caves and simple apartments much closer to your home. Those terrorists are still plotting today. Al-Qaeda is still bent on carrying out terrorist activity. Terrorism. Terrorists. We are targeting the same Al-Qaeda terrorists who have struck from New York to London.
Iraq, Turkey, and the United States face a common threat from terrorism. We share the common goal of denying Al-Qaeda a safe haven.
Disrupt, dismantle, and defeat Al-Qaeda and its extremist allies. Al-Qaeda terrorists and their affiliates are at war with the United States.
Terror and extremism.
War on terrorism. Preventing terrorist attacks demands our continued commitment. Through continued intelligence sharing, we can disrupt terrorist plots and dismantle terrorist networks.
America will forge lasting partnerships to target terrorists. We will permit no safe haven for Al-Qaeda to launch attacks.
Terrorism. Thwarting terrorist attacks. The Joint Terrorism Task Force. The National Counterterrorism Center.
Terrorist networks.
I do continue to believe that the greatest threat to United States security are the terrorist networks like Al-Qaeda. My first priority is to protect the American people. It is my obligation to make sure that we root out these terrorist organizations.
Eradicate terrorist activity.
America, our allies, and the world were acting as one to destroy Al-Qaeda's terrorist network and to protect our common security. We cannot tolerate a safe haven for terrorists whose location is known and whose intentions are clear.
We reaffirmed the shared commitment to defeat terrorist activity.
Our nation is at war against a far-reaching network of violence and hatred. Yet as the Christmas Day attempt illustrates, and as we were reminded this week by the sacrifices of more brave Americans in Afghanistan, including those 7 dedicated men and women of the CIA, the hard work of protecting our nation is never done. So as our reviews continue, let us ask the questions that need to be asked. Let us make the changes that need to be made. Let us debate the best way to protect the country we all love. That's the right and responsibility of every American and every elected official. But as we go forward, let us remember this. Our adversaries are those who would attack our country, not our fellow Americans, not each other.